This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
We made this.
And welcome back to the Xcast. As ever, the truth is in here, and you are listening to our special Fight the Future Minute series of podcasts where we unpack, dissect, and admire the first X-Files film, Fight the Future, 1 minute at a time. I'm your host for this episode, Carl Sweeney, and this is our coverage of minute 9 of the film, I believe, which begins at the 8-minute mark. The fire service are arriving at the scene, and when this minute ends, we see a black helicopter joining the action. And to discuss this minute, I'm joined by Luke Winch again. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Carl.
How's it going, Luke? Are you looking forward to discussing another minute of arguably the best X-Files film?
I really am. I'm looking forward to admiring it as well.
Yeah. Do you think this is the best X-Files film, just incidentally? I mean, I Want to Believe has its fans. Are you one of them?
I do like I Want to Believe, but Fight the Future is most definitely my favourite of the films.
For me, I actually have, in recent years, I've moved to thinking that they're about on a par and in very different ways. They appeal to me in very different ways. But anyway, that's probably a discussion for another time. Okay, so let's jump in then with this minute. I guess as we alluded to last time, or as you brought up at the end of the last minute, this episode brings quite a memorable character with it. This minute does, which is Captain Miles. Is it Miles Cools? Is that his name?
I'm hoping it's Cools, because I think Cools is a brilliant name for a firefighter.
Played by an actor, Gary Grubbs, and he's quite a memorable actor. He's one of those guys, I think, that is instantly recognisable. Well, I guess for fans of the X-Files in particular, because this is not his first appearance in the X-Files, is it, Luke? I'm assuming you are aware of that.
Yes, no, I can't remember which episode it is, but I definitely remember him from a previous episode.
Oh, do you want to have... If I tell you it's season 2, and if I tell you it's the back half of season 2, do you want to hazard a guess?
Do you know what? I can see him. I can picture him in it, and do you know what? I can't.
Okay,
too much pressure.
We're talking. That's all right. Yeah, sorry, put you under the spot. Yeah, I can tell you it's we're talking Chaco Chicken, and we're talking. So yes. That's Our Town.
Oh, God, of course it is.
And I think from what I remember, he gets a bit more to do in that episode than he does in this film. Like, he's just in this film for a couple of minutes, really. But he's got a very interesting presence, hasn't he? And I think a lot of it is like his voice and stuff as well. Yeah,
I mean, I personally remember him from he has a part in JFK. He's one of Kevin Costner's kind of assistants when they're investigating the assassination of JFK. So that's where I remember him from. But yeah, he's got a very distinct voice, and I find it quite amusing that the text he's given is quite heroic and gung ho in some ways, and it doesn't quite fit his mode of speaking, but I find it amusing, and it's a slight kind of subversion of what our picture of a heroic firefighter is. I quite like it.
Do you mean like because of his drawl or something? Is that
yeah? He's just got this kind of thin drawl voice, and he's kind of, you know, he's got like lines like "talk to me," and "you two men in the hole." Yeah. It's like it's really kind of gung ho way of talking, but it's amusing with his temper of speech.
I think that works quite well in the context of what's going to happen here, though, doesn't it? In
yes.
the sense that, given that in just a minute's time or so, he's going to be kind of usurped, isn't he, when Braunschweig and everyone turns up. So I guess that may well have been intentional, mightn't it, that they're going for that kind of thing.
I think so. Yeah, I'm hoping so because I think it's very clever and amusing the way they do it.
Yeah, like you said, so this actor, Gary Grubbs, you mentioned JFK, and he's one of those actors who is just in a lot of things, you know. Like, he's still acting today, which is nice to see. Actually, the X-Files film, when you look on IMDb, you get, for each actor or actress, you get, like, what they're most known for, according to IMDb. And the X-Files film is the first thing that pops up, which is interesting. This is, like, the height of his... if you go by that measure, this is, like, the pinnacle of his career. But no, he's in lots of interesting stuff, like JFK, like you said, Django Unchained, just like shed loads of TV series, really. Like, you can basically look at the history of American television, and he's appeared in, like, a hell of a lot of the great shows, you know, or the notable shows. Like, he's in stuff like MASH. I'm talking about, like, often turns up for, like, an episode or two kind of thing. MASH, things like Happy Days. He's in the first episode of Hill Street Blues, I believe. Things like ER, and then moving on into more recent series, too. I don't know about you, as a viewer, it always makes me kind of happy in a weird sort of way when I see somebody like him where I might not necessarily know their name, but I recognise them from something like The X-Files or whatever show it may be. I don't know, it's just kind of, oh, there he is, there's that guy, you know, that kind of feeling. And it's quite a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you always have a kind of a good bunch of prolific character actors, and they're always in work, they're always doing something, and you know they're good at what they do. So it's a nice comforting feeling that you know that they've got, even for a couple of minutes that he has, it's in good hands because his past record of work is absolutely huge.
Yeah, and so what else? Anything else about this minute that really kind of struck you on this rewatch? I
was confused by what is causing the interference with the walkie-talkies. I know they're down a hole in a cave, but surely if they're in a building and they're talking from outside the building inside the building, surely...
Yeah.
But is there some kind of radio wave disruption that the oil has, or is it the incoming helicopter? I don't know. It's one of those things that it hangs in the air for me.
That's a good question. I don't honestly know the answer, and I hadn't thought about it myself, but when you started speaking about that, the first thing I thought was, does the black oil kind of give off kind of radioactive energy or whatever, and would that be sufficient to disrupt the radios? So I guess I was thinking that more than the helicopter when you started to say that.
Yeah.
Does that sound plausible?
I think so, yeah. I did think the oil had some kind of ability or, an effect on radio waves or something. But then I like the fact that, he's lost communication, so what does he do? Sends more men down the hole.
I suppose, yeah, quite a fateful decision, really.
Yeah.
But how was he to know? I feel quite a bit of sympathy for this guy. This is like completely outside the remit of like anything else he would ever deal with,
Yeah.
In terms of the making of the film, apparently this whole sequence was quite hard to kind of nail down logistically. Lots of moving parts, moving vehicles and things. In addition to which, apparently it was really hot when they were filming. And they had things like snake wranglers on set with them, on location with them. I don't know, rattlesnakes, I guess, would be out there. I don't know, I assume that must be why. And I don't know about you, that's just the kind of thing I never really stopped to consider, is like how much effort must actually go in to get in what in effect is quite a brief sequence really in the film, albeit an important one. It
never quite crosses your mind when you're watching the movie, but I'm quite a behind the scenes geek, so I like that kind of information, and all the kind of logistics and technical aspects that have to go into it, because you've got vehicles coming in, and you've got the dust as well, haven't you, and the wind of the kind of Californian flat dry plains, as it were. There is something I did wanted to point out. When the vehicles come in, there's a slogan on the side of the emergency vehicle that says "Learn not to burn," which I quite liked.
You mean, so what was this, like an official slogan or like a sticker? I didn't see it. I didn't.
It's the first fire engine that comes into frame. Just on the side, it looks like it's part of their kind of slogan, as it were. And then you see the Blackwood Fire County. I find it quite amusing. And then you see the Blackwood County fire trucks. So we assume that the community that they're in is Blackwood, which is also the code name for the film when it was being filmed was Project Blackwood.
Oh yeah, I dimly remember hearing about that. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice catch. I didn't get that myself. Yeah, nice. But I think you've teed me up quite nicely for. So last time we had Facts about why kids should play outside. This time I've got 8 amazing facts about firefighters.
Excellent.
The sequel, yeah. Well, this is from a skysaver.com. Some kind of safety product or company. I'm not really sure, but I'll flag that up there. So I'm not sure how old these facts are. I might hold a few of these back for the next episode. But Luke, according to this, about 100 firefighters per year are arrested for starting fires. So apparently there are serial arsonists who decide to become firefighters. According to this, these people tend to do it more for the money or the thrill rather than it being a psychological disorder. But yeah, no, scary stuff.
It is, and they've obviously not listened to their own slogan, which is "Learn not to burn." So,
yeah, I think that needs to be emphasised to all new firefighters. Obviously,
it does.
Right. Benjamin Franklin is responsible for the first fire company in Philadelphia. These firefighters were sometimes known as Benjamin Franklin's Bucket Brigade. They would meet monthly to discuss different techniques to fight fires. So I think Bucket Brigade. I quite like that as a phrase.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
A firefighter needs 100 hours of training before legally being allowed to enter the interior of a burning building. What's your sense? I think 100 hours, that seems kind of sufficient to me for my absolute lack of knowledge on the situation.
It seems like a fair amount of hours, and yeah, I kind of guess that you need a good amount of experience before you run into a burning building, definitely.
Okay, I can make this next one a bit of a quiz question. So, how long do you think firefighters have to get dressed? So I'm not sure if this is like a target, and I'm not sure if this applies just in the USA, but how long do you think they would kind of aim for?
So is this if they're in their trousers and shirt to get into their firefighter gear, yeah?
I assume so, yeah, ready to go out.
I would say 45 seconds.
Okay, so this says less than 2 minutes, so... Oh, hang on, yeah. So this includes all of their gear, which can weigh from... Okay, so that's the next question. So how much do you think fire gear might weigh in total?
I imagine, quite heavy.
In pounds.
In pounds? Oh, you can't do it in pounds. Okay, I was going to say 40 to 50 grams, and now I've got to convert that into pounds. What's that? 70 pounds?
You're not far off, actually.
Oh.
According to this, it can weigh from 80 to 120 pounds.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty hefty gear.
That is hefty gear, yeah.
All right, Luke. Well, I think enough fire facts for today. Yeah, you'll be back with me again for minute 10, won't you? Which brings us to... I think we meet Braunschweig, don't we, in the next minute? So that's going to be a fun one to talk about, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, cool. So in the meantime, where should people head if they want to find you online?
You can find me personally on Twitter at Luke_Winch. I'm also co-host of the Fringe podcast Observing the Pattern, and you can find us on Twitter at the OTP Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook by typing in Observing the Pattern. We're also on iTunes and Sprecher. Nice. All right. Cheers, Luke. And as ever, listeners, come and find us in the usual places. So come and join us on Facebook if you're on there, and join the X-Files Basement, Xcast Podcast fan group, or on Twitter at the X_cast. Yeah. So either of those places, or both, would be great. As I said, Luke and myself will be back next time. So until you join us again, listeners, remember, as always, trust no one.
Previously on the We Made This Network. Cinemortuary.
Bad acting all round.
Yes.
It's probably something that's going to happen over and over again in this film. I think the next scene is where we're introduced to dickhead older lads. Is that right?
No, we've just got a quick bit with Dad as well.
Oh, God, do we have to? Go on, then. Dad's fucking useless as well.
Yeah.
We buy records.
One of our listeners, they were walking past a charity shop where they saw someone had left records. And not just a few records, 6 bags of records.
Oh, shit.
So they eyeballed these records and thought, it's a bank holiday. It's Sunday today.
So let me guess, they thought it would be only right for me to prevent them getting nicked by somebody by me nicking them.
Correct.
Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
No, I was just going to say that, I can't remember how people bored about it when the series first started, but I really like Anna Torv, and I think she gets better and better as the series goes on. And like, I felt like here, I thought you got to see a few different sides of Olivia, so that's what I liked, especially about this like first sequence, you know.
Yeah, so I mentioned this to Tony in the primer. She's one of my favourite characters. Well, she is my favourite character, I think, in Fringe, and mainly because when you first see her, you don't know necessarily that she's the main star.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.